We are going with the Cooking with Vinny Live Salmon Patty Edition. Sarah, would you like to come on over here and talk about the salmon patties? And of course, the greatest accompaniment for salmon patties, mac and cheese.
Sure.
All right. It's a real special dish to us.
Me?
All right, knock it out.
As some of you know, my grandmother recently passed away, and my favorite dish that she made me all the time was salmon patties. And of course, mac and cheese has to go with salmon patties. It's just
It's a comfort food.
It's what it is.
Great.
So I asked Vinny for this week's episode if he could make Grandma's dish for me, and that's what we're doing.
Yep, we're doing salmon patties with a Vinny twist. Salmon, Grandma always used salmon. You want to be involved in this. Grandma always used salmon out of a can, which I never even knew salmon was in a can until I met Grandma, and she's like, go and get salmon. I was like, all right, well, what kind do you want? And she's like, well, in the can. And I was like, what? And I went to the store, and there it was. And I don't know if who's ever used this, but it is definitely an experience when you open the can.
Well, and she taught me how to make it.
Yeah.
And you open it, and then you have to get all the bones out of it.
Yeah, I'm checking for bones.
That was all fun.
Yeah, there's some skin on there sometimes. I think they just literally slice it and shove it in the can. It's the craziest thing.
That was Grandma's way. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll miss her always.
Always.
But we have these memories, and and that's what keeps all of this going. And that's one of the reasons why food's great, because you can always keep someone alive by something that they did and pass it on generationally. It's great. All right, do we have anything else we need to tell people?
Oh, I forgot. I'm like trying to run away.
Will you knock it off?
Yeah. So this is our last cooking show in
Orlando. This is the last time you're going to see this kitchen.
Yeah.
We are leaving Orlando, Florida, and we're going to the beach. Boy! Yeah, we're going to Dunedin, Florida, which is to the west coast on the Gulf of Mexico, and we just figured now is the time. With everything going on, business has been, of course, slow, and that's one reason why we figured to do this. We're going to stay involved with everybody out there, but we are going to move to the coast, enjoy beach life, and hopefully turn over a new leaf and see where life takes us now. So
cheers to this house, and
yeah, it's been a
Grandma used to come and stay with us during the winters here, and
yeah, that was always a real blessing. It's how we learned, I learned how to make this anyway, was having Grandma come here, and she would stay with us for months, because who wants to be in Ohio winters? No one. There's no reason to do that. So I don't know, but yeah, it's almost over. Moving away, off to new, but we're still going to do this. It's just going to be in a different kitchen, and then hopefully an outdoor one, if she buys it.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if she lets me. We'll see. All right, well, let's get to it. So, all right, basically what we got, we want to get the water boiling. I probably should have told you that in the prep video. So let's get the water boiling for the mac and cheese. Crank that supper on high, so we can get supper going. All right, so that's basically gonna be what's going on with that. So the pasta will go in the boiling water. Just get the water turned on. Right now, I have this really cool thing. What the heck's this called, Kim? The ulu or something? I don't know if the name's on there. I can't remember. Ulu or uli, but it's basically a chopper for herbs and stuff. I'm going to use it to grind up my crackers. Maybe the salmon I could use in there, but I don't really want to make a big mess out of it, so I probably want to just do it on the cutting board. You can do this in a food processor if you want. I don't have one because I get tired of having appliances everywhere in my kitchen, and I don't really need it all the time. So basically I'm just going to use my trusty old knife, chop this up. It's going to be like ground beef, but just ground up salmon. All right, it's about a pound of it. So we're just going to chop away and just make mincemeat out of it basically. So I'm just slicing across ways. turn it. And now, of course, like because you're doing this, you can, make this texture. Got a little bit of skin still left on there. Get rid of that. It won't really matter. It's actually, the skin's really, really healthy for you. I have a trusty fillet knife on the way from the guy that made this guy for me. So I'm just waiting for that to come through. It would have been a lot more helpful to take the skin off of this fish, but the craftsmen take a little time to get things done.
The pressure's on you, right?
What's that?
The pressure's on, though.
The pressure's on me right now?
Yeah.
Why is that? Because your mom's probably using a food processor?
No, to make it as good as Grandma.
Oh, to make it as good as Grandma. Yeah, that is some definitely, a little bit of pressure here. Now, canned salmon as well is cooked already. So it's, this is going to be a little bit different because, for one thing, it's, canned salmon is just kind of like canned tuna fish. It has that same kind of texture. But, you don't really have to cook this as much. You want it a little bit on the underdone side. I know there's a lot of people out there that just want to cook everything all the way through, but, you don't really have to. But you're in control of how the texture of this is. If you are going to use a food processor, do not just turn it on and grind it into a paste. You don't want to do that. Pulse it so you can get it to, a nice consistency here. I think this is going to be good for us. It looks good to you. Looks good to me. So I'll go ahead and grab this bowl. I did this on top of this cutting board so that way I could go right into my other cutting board and not have to do a whole sanitized thing here for raw fish on top of raw vegetables going on top of it. All right. Cedric. I got the call. I got the tickle. I got the tickle. That's just weird. I'm looking at you. Stop pointing at me. She's telling me to stop looking at her, but I'm trying to look at her and talk to her. Point over there, point at the camera.
I'll tell him the Grandma tickle.
Yeah, Grandma would always, have a little cough, and that would always, I got a tickle. I got the tickle. So now I'm making Grandma salmon patties, and all of a sudden, I got the tickle. All right. So we got the dill. You need about a tablespoon. So basically, you're just gonna, whenever with herbs, you just kind of grab it at the top and then just pull downward gently, and you'll just get the leaves to kind of come off without, needing the stems. The fresh dill will really, it goes great with salmon. Now, if you don't like dill, of course, just omit it. You don't have to put it in there if you don't think you're going to like it. Just going to mince this up. This literally reminds me right now, you ever have like a pickled potato chip? Mm-hmm. And it's like super like that dill flavor, like just like wafting up. Instead of thinking of salmon right now, I'm thinking of pickled potato chips. That's this right here, pickled potato chips. Somebody give me potato chips. All right. We got our green onions. They'll be going in there. Slice them as thin as you can. I definitely made this a little, took it up a little bit of a notch from what Grandma does. Her recipe is like so simple, and that's why Sarah's probably gonna be like, this is not my grandmother's.
Sometimes simple is best.
Sometimes simple is best. You're right. Less ingredients, the better. Sometimes you start adding so much stuff and it just cancels everything out. I was writing this recipe to begin with. I had some bell pepper idea, and she's like, "Don't you think about it." She didn't really say that. Sarah's like, "You always make me sound terrible." All right.
It's very intense.
Yeah, just getting after it. All right, so, and after that, we got our green onion, our dill in here. We also are going to have our onion powder, which is about a teaspoon. Salt. Water starting to boil. I got this super awesome stove that I have to leave for somebody else. Couldn't have not broke the stove. All right, salt, pepper. I would probably like to add like, a jalapeno to this. I think would be really good, but that just would not be Grandma. Like, I'm sure Grandma would be over here. Just throw some sugar in it.
Sugar, probably, yeah.
That was like her answer. Anything that I put hot sauce on, Grandma would put sugar on it. Like literally, we'd be eating soup, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna put some sriracha or hot sauce in it." She'd put like 2 scoops of sugar in there. I'm like, "Grandma, what's going on over here?" Yeah, we'd be eating eggs. Yeah, and that's why she was sweet, I guess. Like in the morning, she would put jelly on her eggs, and that was the one where I was just like, "Grandma, what's happening?" Like I'm over here loading my eggs up with hot sauce. She's smearing jelly on it. I was like, man, I've never in a million years would think to put jelly on my eggs.
But now you're like, well,
maybe I should try it. Yeah, I mean, Grandma.
And Slim too.
Yeah.
Slim would put jelly in his grits.
In his grits. That was we took Grandma. Slim was her nephew, Grandma's nephew, and they would come down and stay like out in like the Brooksville area in the winter months as well. This thing is so cool for this. This was a gift from my mother-in-law when she went to Alaska. And this like works perfectly for things like this, like chopping nuts and herbs and stuff up. You want about a half cup of this, guys. I'm just eyeballing a lot, but yeah, so we took Grandma out to see them while they were down here, and went to breakfast, and Slim's just opening up packets of jelly at the table, and it was just like boom, 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 just loading up that grits with jelly. Like, I just want some butter in there. Then we went back to their house and had soup. Again, this is something you can do in your food processor. That'll save you a ton of time. You can also just use breadcrumbs, panko breadcrumbs, but Ritz crackers, man. There are something about Ritz crackers. Now, we're going to do a little bit more because Grandma always put some on the outside of the patty after you formed it as well. Sarah, you want to come over and mix? Get your hands dirty?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll use a spoon. so this is going to go right on that plate that I have next to me over here, and this will just go to coat the exterior of the salmon patties. Alright, and now we got about a tablespoon of turd going in there. I'm using Dijon, yellow will work, but Dijon goes really good with salmon. Egg, that's going to bind it together, hold it all up, and then lemon juice. Remember guys, when you're going to juice your lemon, give it a little roll first, helps the juice kind of work out there. And don't squirt your lemon over top because you're going to have seeds. So you need about a tablespoon or so of that, which is normally about 1 whole lemon for a tablespoon.
What if someone doesn't want to do that?
What's that?
Squeezing it. I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't squeeze the lemon?
No.
Well, buy me a juicer.
What if you're not strong enough?
That's how I get my workout. Just doing this fork so I don't end up with a bunch of seeds down in there and pulp. Pulp would be too bad, but nobody wants to crunch down on a lemon seed. Alright. So our water is boiling. It's like a pterodactyl-sized skeeter over there. So we're just going to mix this stuff up. If you got kids, let them use their hands on this. It'll be, it's like making meatballs. It's fun, you know. Alright, so now let this hang out for a second. Run it form these in a minute. I think Sarah might help me form them, I'm not sure. But we're going to move on to getting this mac and cheese started. First thing we need to do is get the butter melted down, and then we're going to add in the salt, nutmeg, and garlic powder, and then we'll add the flour after that. So we'll get the butter and the seasonings in, then we'll make the roux with the flour. Alright guys, so we're just going to get the butter melted, so you can turn that to about medium heat. Just melt that down. Got her on, right Sarah? Alright, if you want, you can go ahead and bring over everything that you're going to be using. Cheeses, all the goods. Turn this water down just a little bit because we don't want to get that going on too fast. You can get your pan turned on to about a medium heat as well. We're going to need some oil for that pan. Vegetable, of course. You can use olive oil. It's no different. Probably actually a little bit healthier for you. But you'll get a little bit more of a taste from the olive oil. Vegetable oil will just kind of do what it needs to do without giving you a flavor in there. salt for the pasta water. We'll go ahead and get that put in. And then once the roux and everything starts coming together, we'll make that cheese sauce, cook the pasta, and be home free. On the mac and cheese part anyway. Alright, so the butter is melting away on me. I'm going to add in the nutmeg, salt, garlic powder. Get a little sizzle. Whisk. Move that. If it's smoking and getting like too hot, guys, pick it up. Reduce the temp. Just stir that. And then we're going to go ahead and get the flour put right in. We'll mix the flour in to make a roux. Sarah, you can come look at this if you want. So we're just making the roux up here. You don't need to cook it too long.
Because of your hand.
Fat hand in the way. So just get the roux going. The longer you cook, the darker the roux is going to be, so we don't really need to darken it up at all. We're just making a nice blonde roux there. We will get the cream cheese in. Stir that, it'll kind of start smoothing out, warming up. And then once that kind of starts to melt, we'll add the milk in. Should be getting a little bit of aroma.
It smells really good.
Yeah. Alright, now once the cream cheese and the roux is kind of starting to clump a little, and now we're going to add in our milk. You want to take a peek before I add the milk in? It just kind of clumps up. It's just that the moisture and stuff that's in the cream cheese mixing with the roux, and it's just kind of causing it to clump a little. And then we'll add the milk in, and then just whisk that away. We're just going to whisk that till smooth. You don't have to stir it consistently, just make sure it doesn't kind of burn and stick. But you just want to kind of keep it moving a little bit. Crank that water up to hot, or high, I'm sorry, to hot. Season it up with some salt. We can go ahead and get the pasta in there as well. Just cook that according to your package. It's probably going to be about 7 minutes or so, just until it's tender. With this mac and cheese too, you can go ahead and, not today, but it's one of those things you can put right into a dish, cover it with some more grated cheese, and stick it under the broiler for a little bit, melt that cheese down, and it'll get a nice crust to the top. Really, really good. Alright, so my bechamel is now thick, so we're going to go ahead and add in our cheeses. Pepper jack, cheddar, and then just whisk that in until it's a nice smooth sauce. And this is one of those things where if you use grated cheese that you have grated yourself, this sauce will be perfectly smooth. If you use cheese that is pre-grated in a bag, it is going to look grainy, and it is that is just because of that coating that they put on the grated cheese that helps it stay separated in the bag, and it just creates that gritty graininess that's in there. So make sure, if anything, your temp is turned to the lowest setting. I have a melt setting, which is like for chocolate and stuff, and as you can see, this is where my cheese sauce is. I'm going to add the mustard in, which is the last bit, And that just gives this wonderful little zing that I think to mac and cheese that I absolutely love. Like I love having mustard in the mac and cheese. It's my favorite. Make sure you move that every once in a while. You definitely don't want it to stick to the bottom of the pan. This is hot enough. Make sure our pasta's cooking okay. Stir that. Back over here. Flatten out your crumbs, and now about a handful size. Just depending on how big you want your patty to be. So I'm gonna do 2 for each of us here. Do that. And then just each side of the patty, set it on the side of the plate.
Set aside. I would have come help, but you're moving pretty fast.
I am. I'm in the zone. I am in the zone right now.
Grandma's thing was always to save steps.
It was. That was, I think it was what, like her high school teacher, a home ec teacher or something.
Yeah, I think so.
That was a story she always would tell us. My teacher told me to save steps. Well, Grandma saved enough steps to live to 95 years old. So it's, I think being in the service industry taught me how to save steps. It's like you can hand pack like 1 million dishes and stuff. So if I learned anything from Grandma, I was like, I might live a long time if I can keep off the sauce over there. That was one thing Grandma never did. She always told me my beer looked like horse pee. All right. Heading back. Oh, God. All kinds of stuff happening. All right. Little oil in the pan. Don't go too heavy. You can always add more when you're gonna flip. Give your cheese sauce a little stir. Just make sure nothing's sticking. And then, holy mackerel. Spitting at me. Ow. Don't stick your finger in the oil. That stinks. The worst. My hands are like filthy. Gotta wash. Sarah, go stir those noodles because it's boiling over, please.
Really?
Yes. No, not really. Turn it down just a little bit.
5?
Yeah, that's fine. Really? Oh man, I really stuck my finger in those. Where did the napkins go?
We used to.
No, we didn't. I had a stack of napkins. I know it was sloppy and not clean, but I need something to rest those on.
How many?
No, maybe just line the plate. Line the plate. Look at that.
Where you want the plate?
You can just set it aside.
Of course.
All right, home people. Drain the pasta. Remember, go a little bit closer to that al dente when you're making the mac and cheese because you do not want it to get super mushy while you're doing that.
About how long on each side you think?
I don't know, why don't you time me?
Oh, okay.
That was probably about 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah.
I think. I only did 3 in there. I was a little nervous about the room, so I didn't want to like overcrowd and make my life super hard. But if you want to take a look at these, they're looking really, really good, honestly. If you want to make sure that they're cooking through while you're doing the outside, the one thing you want to do is just make sure that your temperature is not too high, that medium heat. That way it'll cook the outside and the inside at the same. You can also put a lid on there, and that'll help the inside cook through while the outside is going. It really hurts. Stuck it right in the oil. Just make sure Sarah's got all the way cooked through there. She likes medium, but I don't want to risk it. Pressure. Pressure's on. The dogs, literally, I don't know if you've noticed, but they have been in the kitchen like a lot today. Whenever I cook fish, they are, man, you're having a tough time.
I am.
They love when I cook fish. Like, they're just like, what is that smell? It reminds me of something.
But the funny thing is, when Grandma cooked or did anything in the kitchen, Zoe was always right next to Grandma.
Yeah.
Because
She dropped as much as I do.
she either dropped or
Or just spent
or she gave.
Yeah, I think we have a picture of that.
We do have a picture of that.
Now again, guys, like if you want to, since we are using the fresh salmon, you can also put your oven in at like that 170 to 200 degrees, and that will just ensure that the middle is cooked all the way through while you're finishing off your other pieces here without burning the exterior. That would be the least thing you want to do with this. You don't want to ruin that beautiful salmon taste by having a char or something on the outside. The oil is not really penetrating too much, so I have plenty in the pan. I don't really need to flip it.
Flip it.
Huh?
Add more, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. I get to thinking to my next step before I finish sentences. You don't flip the oil. Sometimes when you flip it, you have to put more oil in the pan. But while I flipped it, I realized I didn't need to. So, flip it.
You don't really need to flip the oil.
Don't flip the oil. It would be a terrible idea. Terrible. All right. Put the lid on there. That'll just keep those warm. Might put a little bit of oil so that way when I flip these
Flip that oil.
I did flip it. You saw me. I flipped it upside down. Hey, in that dishwasher, there's a beautiful, wonderful square plate that is clean. It's pretty nice, huh? All shiny. All right, so I did turn the burner off here in the front. It's going to have a little bit of heat to it, but if you want, you can just turn it to a low. We're going to get the pasta. Make sure if you're using shells, you give it a shake because those little pockets will hold water. Just want to try to get them out. I really like shell for mac and cheese because those little pockets just hold. It's like little cups of cheese. It's like little cups of cheese. All right, so you hear that sizzle. You want to get that right in there. I saw some movement and I thought it was you coming over, so I'm like moving to the side. It's just these two.
I'm coming up.
And there you go, just cheesy goodness. I am gonna turn that off though because I don't want my mac and cheese to burn, but it is just super cheesy, really gooey. It's like the perfect amount of that sauce. It's not going to.
Zed wants some.
Oh, he's ready. He was like, while I was skinning the fish, man, he was just like, give me some of that. I smell it. Oh, man. These two are just ruthless with food. The other day I bought some pate home, set it on the living room table, and as I walked away to go do something, and then all of a sudden I'm over here doing whatever. Sarah was standing here, we were talking. Sarah all of a sudden hears, turns around, and Zoa was finishing up what I think what Zed started, honestly. I'm pretty sure he started, but he didn't get busted at all.
I
The
don't know.
poor girl, she was the one that took it in, but his head to the table is like up here, so he's just like, boop. Zoa's got like a little more work to do, so I think he pulled it off the plate. She kind of pushed him out of the way. But you got busted. Couldn't yell at him this time. I don't know why I was going in there. Just thinking about doing something. Don't you tell me. Like they just perk up. They just perk up. There's cheese. Going in there for something. I don't remember what it was. All right, well, these two are finishing off. I'm just gonna reduce that temp a little bit, honestly. It's getting a little too hot for them. I'll plate these up. I wanted to kind of keep this super traditional for Sarah beyond that, so I didn't make any kind of crazy sauce to put over the top. Just left the salmon patties with the mac and cheese.
Oh my goodness. It's like a box of mac and cheese.
One whole box of mac and cheese.
So it's ready.
Now it's like just wonderful color in that salmon patty. As you can see, you got the little bit of darkness, you know, from the actual cooking, of course, but you can see the green and the bright pink from the salmon. I really can't wait to try this. It's an ode to Grandma for sure, but at the same time, it's my spin on it, making it a little chefier. But thank you so much for joining us. I'll plate my food up here in a little bit. I'm sure you guys are getting close to eating yourselves. If you don't have any more questions, we're gonna head out and go enjoy this. Thank you so much. We will see you in Dunedin next time. Have a great one, guys. Bye-bye, Orlando.
Love you.